He was supposed to be the face of heavyweight boxing for a decade. Olympic gold, Hollywood smile, knockout power that made stadiums shake on impact. And then the sport did what the sport always does to chosen ones. It humbled him in public, on camera, with the whole world watching the myth crack. Anthony Joshua has been a god, a ghost, and a comeback story all inside the same career. 30 wins. Four losses. 27 knockouts. And a legacy that still refuses to die quietly, no matter how many times the obituaries get drafted early.
Right now he's determined he wants to be the champion of the world, and that's his main focus. You don't see him out partying anywhere or anything like that, so he's focused on what he needs to.
This is not a simple highlight reel. This is the rise, the collapse, and the resurrection of a heavyweight colossus who keeps walking back into the fire, even when the fire has already left scars you can see from the cheap seats. By the end of this, you'll understand why Anthony Joshua remains one of the most compelling figures in the sport. Win or lose, belt or no belt.
With the Olympic gold medalist, former two-time unified heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua in the flesh.
Before the titles, before the pay-per-views, before the world learned to chant the initials AJ like a sports brand, there was a late starter from Watford. Born October 15th, 1989, Nigerian-British roots. A kid who did not lace up gloves until he was 18 years old. 18. Most champions have a decade of amateur wars and unpaid dues by then. Joshua was just beginning, almost accidentally because a cousin pointed him toward a gym. Within a few short years, he is winning ABA titles. He takes silver at the World Championships in Baku. The chosen one is no longer a projection on a development spreadsheet. He is a national treasure with a right hand that can end bloodlines and a smile built for billboards. He turns professional in 2013, and the early knockouts arrive on schedule, like trains that never run late. Fast finishes, highlight power. The British and Commonwealth titles collected along the way. Dillian Whyte in a domestic war that proves he can dig into ugly rounds when the pretty boxing disappears and pure will has to drive the bus. By 2016, he is IBF heavyweight champion after stopping Charles Martin. The coronation has officially begun. The machine is online. Then comes the night that turns him from champion into permanent myth. April 29th, 2017, Wembley Stadium, Wladimir Klitschko. A legend, a technician, a man who had ruled the division for years with ice in his veins and a jab that felt like architecture. For large stretches of that fight, Klitschko outboxes the young king. He even drops Joshua. The fairy tale is cracking in real time in front of roughly 90,000 people who came to watch coronation and nearly witness collapse. But colossi are not built on clean, easy nights. They are built on the rounds where everything goes wrong and you still refuse to sink through the canvas. Joshua rises, he steadies, he digs into a deeper gear, and in round 11, he finds the finishing sequence that turns a near disaster into fight of the year. Klitschko is stopped. The belts unify in the chaos. The roar at Wembley becomes permanent memory, the kind that outlives highlight packages. In that moment, Anthony Joshua is not just a champion with good timing. He is the heavyweight division's center of gravity. The defenses follow like chapters in a victory lap. Carlos Takam stopped after a war of attrition. Joseph Parker outboxed over 12 for another belt. Alexander Povetkin dropped and finished when the right hand finally clears customs. More titles, more nights where Joshua's power looks like final judgment delivered in slow motion. The machine seems unstoppable. The marketing writes itself. sponsors line up. Casual fans who do not watch boxing still know his name. And then June 1st, 2019 happens, and the script catches fire. Andy Ruiz Jr., Madison Square Garden. Ruiz is supposed to be a late-notice opponent, a round obstacle on the runway toward bigger names and cleaner narratives. Instead, he becomes the man who shatters the myth in 7 brutal rounds. Joshua hits the canvas multiple times. The undefeated aura dies under the Garden lights, while the boxing world collectively loses its mind. For the first time, global audiences see the chosen one as fully mortal. And mortality in heavyweight boxing spreads like a virus. Once the crowd believes you can fall, every puncher alive starts calculating exit velocity on your chin. But here is where Joshua's story separates from fighters who vanish after the first public execution. He does not disappear into silence in soft exhibitions. He studies, he adjusts, he accepts that the old version of himself is not enough. December 2019, Saudi Arabia, the Ruiz rematch. This time Joshua boxes with discipline. He moves. He piles up rounds like a man rebuilding a house brick by brick. He wins a wide decision and takes his titles back from the man who stole the crown. It is not the Hollywood one-punch sequel fans scream for. It is something more important for longevity. Proof of brain under maximal pressure. The Colossus learns how to win ugly when beauty is a trap. Then Alexander Usyk enters the picture and changes the temperature of the entire era. 2021, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Usyk is southpaw poetry with a chin carved out of pure stubbornness and footwork that makes big men look like they are fighting in sand. He outboxes Joshua over 12 rounds and leaves with the unified crowns. The rematch in 2022 ends with the same cruel rhyme. Another decision loss, another night where Joshua's physical gifts are undeniably real and still not enough against a genius who makes the geometry of the ring feel tilted on purpose. 2 losses to Usyk do not just cost belts and money, they rewrite the hierarchy in permanent ink. Joshua is no longer the default man at the top of the mountain. He is the man trying to climb back up while the whole sport watches with arms folded. He keeps fighting anyway. That matters. Jermaine Franklin over 12 hard rounds. Robert Helenius stopped in a single round when the old power woke up hungry. Otto Wallin, another step through the mud. Francis Ngannou, the former UFC destroyer with one-punch nuclear potential, dropped and stopped in 2 rounds in a crossover that still had real danger baked into every exchange. The highlight power still lives in Joshua's shoulders. The threat never fully leaves the building. When Anthony Joshua connects clean and sits down on a shot, heavyweights still go cold in a way that silences arenas. And then, September 2024, Daniel Dubois, a vacant IBF title sitting in the middle of the ring like bait. Dubois is younger, aggressive, and completely unimpressed by mythology or old Olympic footage. He knocks Joshua out. Another public demolition, another chapter the loudest critics use as a closing argument, as if careers end cleanly because a timeline says so. For a lot of fighters, that night would be the final page, the quiet retirement speech, the documentary epilogue. Joshua does not close the book. July 25th, 2026, Riyadh, Kristian Prenga. A comeback fight that is supposed to be controlled, a tune-up on paper, a chance to shake rust and remind the world the right hand still exists. And then, round 1 turns into a horror movie nobody booked. Prenga drops Joshua, twice, early. The same old ghosts rush the ring like they never left. The same questions explode across every timeline and sports desk on Earth. Is this another collapse? Is the chin finally gone for good? Is the story officially over this time? Listen carefully to what happens next, because this is the part that defines Anthony Joshua more than any shiny belt ever did. He survives the round. He steadies his legs and his mind. And in round 2, at 2 minutes and 34 seconds, he uncorks a right hand that ends the night cold. Prenga is knocked out. The comeback is not clean. It is not pretty. It will never be used in a polished brand commercial without context. It is something better than pretty. It is proof that the man still has finishing violence in his blood when the script falls completely apart in front of millions. That is the Anthony Joshua paradox in one career. He can look invincible for 3 years and fragile for 3 minutes. He can win Fight of the Year against Klitschko and lose in ways that make casual fans draft retirement threads before the replay finishes. He can get dropped twice in a comeback fight and still leave the arena as the man who finished it standing. Gods are boring when they never bleed. Joshua bleeds on pay-per-view. Then he stands back up and asks for the next walkout song. 6'6", 82-inch reach, Olympic gold pedigree, 27 knockouts inside 30 wins. A 2-time unified heavyweight champion who has ruled and been dethroned and refused to vanish. And a career path that still points toward the last mountains left on the map. Tyson Fury has been the ghost fight hanging over British boxing for years, like unfinished business written in neon. The negotiations, the false starts, the almost that died in boardrooms. Whether it finally happens in this era or becomes another unfinished myth told in pubs forever, the gravitational pull is real. Because when Joshua walks to the ring, the sport still leans in. Not because every expert picks him on the scorecards in advance, because nobody can look away from a Colossus who has seen the top of the world and the bottom of a knockdown count and keeps choosing the tunnel walk anyway. Other heavyweights have cleaner records you can hang in a museum. Some have sharper boxing IQs over 12 technical rounds. A few may even deserve to be ranked above him on a cold pound-for-pound list written by people with no ticket sales to worry about. But almost nobody carries this exact combination of one-punch power, global theater, visible scar tissue, and unfinished business that still moves the needle. Anthony Joshua is not a highlight package you watch on mute. He is a heavyweight novel with blood on the pages and chapters still unwritten. From Watford streets to Olympic gold under London lights. From Wembley immortality against Klitschko to the canvas against Ruiz in New York. From title reclaiming adjustments in the rematch to Usyk's masterclass in geometry. From the Dubois knockout that was supposed to end the conversation to the Prenga resurrection in Riyadh that restarted it with a single right hand. This is a fighter who has lived every version of the heavyweight dream and every version of the heavyweight nightmare. And he is still here, still dangerous, still unfinished. If this story hit, subscribe to Boxing Loops. The legends live here. All the boxing gear I train with is linked in the description below. The gloves, the wraps, the heavy bag work that builds real heavyweight power when nobody is filming.